Good morning, Polygon. Hello again. This is officially episode 1 of Breakfastnauts, because the last one was a pilot, so this is officially episode 01. You're listening to myself. My name is Paddy. Hello. I'm joined by my co-host, the ever-able Shaun McElroy. Say hello.
Hello. Ever able? What am I ever able to do?
Well, it's not turning up on time. It's definitely not that.
It's definitely.
And we're also joined by a special guest today. You'll know him from the forum. His name is Mr. Mintycrys. Say hello, Minty.
Hello, everybody.
And Minty is from America Land.
America Land? But we're not in America Land. How are we talking?
Internet land.
It's internet magic, Shaun.
Internet magic.
Yeah. So this week, what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking about Deadly Premonition, Paddy. And it's one of those games that not a lot of people have played, but everyone sees new articles popping up and Mintycrys popping in the comments going, oh my goodness, everyone should own this game. And that's why we've got Minty on today to tell us why people should give a shit that Deadly Premonition's coming to Steam Greenlight.
Greenlight?
Greenlight, absolutely.
Wow. Does it need to be Greenlight? Don't they have the sweet Deadly Premonition money just to buy it?
Well, if you'd played it, I suppose it would make sense that it starts out on Greenlight.
Is it one of those kind of games?
What do you mean by one of those kind of games?
One of those kind of games. What I mean by one of those kind of games is it's a game that isn't necessarily good, but it is entertaining.
So like The Last of Us.
Ooh, walk away.
Let's just go with that. You know that was just me pushing your button.
That joke gets a 7.5.
6.5. Much better than 7.5.
So I haven't played Deadly Premonition, but like you say, Shaun, I do see articles about it basically every week. Someone's talking about it, but I don't know. I don't even know what kind of game it is. So tell me about Deadly Premonition.
Okay, I'm gonna leave this one to Minty.
Actually, I think I'd like to hear Sean's thoughts on this first, seeing as he just started a new playthrough, and he's playing on the Xbox 360 version. Is that correct?
That's correct. So green veil filter and all.
Oh. I would like to hear your thoughts on that first.
Well, I've played some of it, and it's been played over. I'll be honest, it's been played over a period of time that I kind of keep falling asleep while playing it, so I'm not able to. No, let me just clarify that. I play video games when everyone else has gone to bed. So I'm playing video games at 1 a.m, and that's probably not a good time to jump into Deadly Premonition, because I always fall asleep in the same parts. But
that's got to go on the box, surely.
Okay, if you think of it this way, right? Think of the strangest, almost Twin Peaks-like sort of scenario for a game. I'm struggling here to sort of explain this, because it's really a game that you need to play, and I haven't played.
Can I jump in and be really shit? I've not seen Twin Peaks.
That's fine.
So that frame of reference gives me nothing.
In fact, if you've played the game, a lot of people say that you should watch Twin Peaks and then play the game. On the other hand, I would almost recommend playing the game first and then going and watching Twin Peaks, just so you can see where it all came from. And then a lot of what goes on in the story makes sense.
I mean, I watched Twin Peaks when I was a kid because it came out around the same time for me. But whenever you're playing Deadly Premonition, it's a long slog. Things have to be done at a certain time of day, and there's no quick and easy way to jump ahead unless you go all the way back to your hotel and go to sleep. It's a game that you have to be where you're meant to be on time, and I think we can all agree that's something that I have a lot of trouble doing in real life.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've spent almost 80% of my adult life waiting for you, so I mean...
Well, it's true. I mean, my girlfriend gives me grief all the time. She says to me, you need to be here at this time. Are you going to be there at this time? And I say yes, and I leave the house 5 minutes before I'm meant to be there. And there is somewhere that's going to be 10 minutes down the road. So, playing through Deadly Premonition is not something that I really have the patience for. And I think that shows whenever I fall asleep.
Tut tut.
Tut tut. But yeah, So why should we care that it's coming out on Greenlight if I still haven't managed to finish this?
I still don't know what it's even about. Is it an action game? Is it a car racing game? Is it a first person shooter?
It's kind of an
It is a
FBI
lot of these
simulator.
things.
It's an FBI life simulator. That's probably the best I can describe it.
It's an FBI life simulator.
Yes.
Is it like The Sims FBI?
No.
I would say it's more like Twin Peaks by way of Silent Hill if it had a love child after a salacious relationship with Shenmue.
How do you say it's Shenmue?
It very much is.
Oh, see, no, I think that's called Shenmue.
I would have said Shen.
Could be.
Shenmue.
But I don't know.
Shenmue.
Shenmue. This is word differences. We're getting into word differences already.
Right, come on. Let's get back on track.
Shenmue, yes.
Why should I give a crap about this game?
Well, quite frankly, you don't need to give a crap about it.
No.
York doesn't need your sympathy. He doesn't. Because York has no clue what's going on half the time, or does he? Now, the beautiful part about this game is that it is, as Shaun says, an FBI life simulator, but it's much more than that. Are there racing sections? Yes, there are racing sections. Are there action sections? Absolutely. Are there fishing sections? Whoa, wait, fishing? I can fish in this game? Oh, okay.
You've just floored me. Fishing.
There is fishing. There is definitely fishing in this game. It's a weak little fishing mini game, but it's there if you want to do it, and it's a great way to pick up random items if your inventory is running a little low, which it never should be, honestly, but I'll get into that later. But the main draw to Deadly Premonition is that it is, at its heart, a murder mystery that occurs in a small, sleepy, well, I won't say small, but it occurs in a sleepy Pacific Northwestern town. They're sort of out in the boondocks. They live a very, very comfortable life. And then out of nowhere, this FBI agent, he's got sort of a bit of an attitude problem, and not so much that he's arrogant, but he seems to be operating on a different level completely. His head is in the clouds. He says weird things. People think he's weird because, quite honestly, what he says and what he does are often at odds with one another. He makes these goofy smiles. He makes bizarre inferences, and everything he does seems to have absolutely zero regard for the feelings of anybody around him.
He sounds like a jerk.
He is a jerk, but he's a charming jerk. And none of that is by design.
Okay, let's talk about Zach, okay? Because Zach...
Let's not... Well, oh man. Zach, where to start? Okay, I'll let you handle this one. I'm going to keep my mouth shut for Zach.
He was the Black Power Ranger, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
This is true.
I have a frame of reference. Oh, okay. There's a problem with the call. Let's hold on for a second. Lou. Who's still talking? I'm still talking.
I'm still talking, I hope.
Then it's Shaun. Once again, waiting for Shaun.
While we're waiting for Shaun,
most of my life is waiting for Shaun.
I'm going to touch on a couple things he said. I've been taking notes here. As the way the game works, there's a 24-hour schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you'll be told by Emily or George, who are respectively the deputy sheriff and the sheriff of this town, Greenvale. They'll say, okay, well, you have to be at this location at this time, and don't be late. But of course, don't be late is a challenge. It's a suggestion, as far as I'm concerned. And along the way, York will he'll make conversation with you, the player, Zach. Well, I'm going to still leave that alone as to who Zach is, but he's always talking to Zach. Zach is sort of an imaginary friend, and in a way, the player sort of becomes Zach.
Okay. So Zach isn't real. Zach is essentially the player.
Well, there's a lot more to that story that they go into within the game, but it's very bizarre. You'll be driving around town, and you'll have an appointment to make, and then you'll stop the car and get out, and then York will say, okay, that's fine, whatever you want to do, Zach. We don't have to go make that appointment. He'll literally tell you that. And then you can go run around town. You can go searching for bones or money off in wooded paths. You don't need to make your appointment. However, if you don't make your appointment that day, then you have to wait until the next day. And there are two ways to get around waiting. Well, multiple ways. You can take a nap, which can be done by going back to the hotel, which is a bit of a drive.
Okay.
Or, and this is my favorite part, you can take naps anywhere. There will be places on the side of the road that you can just pull over and go into a shed and just fall asleep.
like a filthy hobo.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of filthy hobos, the longer you go without changing and cleaning your outfit, the dirtier you get. You will pick up an entourage of flies.
There is a dirty stat?
Yes. And
it is like The Sims.
And you receive a penalty, too. It's called the stinky agent penalty. They penalize you $16, or as it's referred to in-game, agent honor. Now, you can sleep in increments of 3, 6, 9, or 12 hours, and you have to sleep in order to refill your tiredness meter.
Okay. What does that affect? Is that like combat efficiency and things?
Well,
or do you just run slower?
Once your tiredness meter drops to nothing, I'm not entirely certain because I've never been in danger of being completely tired. The only thing I've had to worry about is hunger, because when your hunger drops to 0, your life bar starts to tick away, and I'm sure it's the same way with your tiredness meter. But you want to make sure that you sleep on a regular schedule, like get to bed around maybe 10 or 11, wake up about 7 or 8 the next morning, and then you can go and do more side quests.
It's a good schedule. That's good.
Well,
I can't do that in real life.
Well, the game tries to reinforce this through, and this is a bit of a mild gameplay spoiler. I would have loved for people to experience this firsthand, but the way that they enforce your schedule is that at 12 o'clock, think Persona 3.
Okay.
Dark hour. As soon as midnight hits, the streets are flooded with the monsters that you fight in the dungeons.
Well, that doesn't sound like fun at all. Like that would, for me, that's like, I'll go to bed.
No, the sky turns dark and purple and cloudy. And
okay, here's my question then. Here's my question. So, the monsters come out in the street when it gets to the dark hour, as it were. The monsters come out, but this York guy, he's like, you know what? No, this town, fuck them. I'm gonna go to sleep. Who's gonna get rid of these guys?
Well, no, but everybody just sort of stays in once it's dark and when it's raining. But
are they like vampires? They can't come in the door unless you invite them.
No, there are none inside with the exception of the dungeon areas. So, I mean, you will be driving around and you'll barely make it back to your hotel before midnight, and you'll see the zombies walking around and think, okay, well, you know what, there's a few zombies, and then you can hit them with your car.
I like that. That sounds fun.
It is fun, except that the cars take damage, and the only way to recharge your car's damage meter is to go to the car wash and get it washed. You also have to gas your cars up regularly, and earlier cars that you get access to in the game, they run out of gas fairly quickly, so you have to be careful. You don't want to run over too many zombies, but later in the game there are super durable cars that you can just drive around the highways at night, hit zombies, make lots of money. It's fun. Except
you
for
run like a big semi truck and just say fuck you.
Well, I don't think there's a semi truck, but there are vans.
Okay, that's what stack it up with some heavy stuff in the back.
So the game basically uses that as the way to get you to sleep, and if that doesn't do it for you, then they also drop down these giant demon Doberman dogs.
Say that again?
They're Dobermans. They're big. They're maybe like a story tall, and they're very, very fast. They can chase your car down at full speed.
Like, a bit like, Sean will know this, Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Very much like Clifford's demonic.
Yeah.
And they drop down out of the sky so quickly. It only feels like maybe 5 or 6 frames. They're just right there in front of you, and it'll make you scream and out. I've never managed to kill one, but I hear it can be done.
So it's basically that's the game's way of telling you run.
Yes. Get inside, go to sleep.
You done goofed.
And of course, if you skip out on your appointments, they'll be sure to be angry at you for it the next day. You'll show up like, oh, wow, it took you long enough to get here. Brr. They don't like it when you skip your appointments.
Well, it's rude.
But even though it's rude, the game offers so much to do in the meantime. You decide to skip an appointment because, hey, I want to walk around. I want to talk to all these townspeople. And the town is very large. It's very sprawling. It feels like an American country town. It's not just condensed into a few city blocks. No, there are a few blocks of downtown, and there are north, south, east, and west, and each each direction takes you to a different part of the town. And there are big long highways, there are rivers, there are places for you to fish. It's just a very, very big overworld.
Well, it sounds very entertaining. Like,
It is entertaining.
I've got an idea now of what the game actually is, because all I've seen, the only thing I know about Deadly Premonition before this point is that there's a weird FBI guy with a really weird smile.
Yes,
and it's creepy. Every picture I've seen of him is creepy as all get out.
And it's not just a case of bad graphics or poor programming. He is weird, and a lot of people in the town notice this, and you will see them roll their eyes at him or even look kind of frightened when he begins acting strange.
It's this guy again.
I mean, whenever he turns around and asks George, he goes, "George, do you work out every day?" He has that creepy look on his face. And in the screenshot for the PS3 version that our friend Dave Tack put up on Polygon, you can actually see that they've made the tendons in his neck turn, and he's staring at George, the sheriff, and he's just staring at him. It's creepy as frig. I mean, it's just... York is definitely contender for Creep of the Year. We've seen those gifs. Everyone's seen those gifs.
And I'm sure you'll feel differently about him by the time the story ends, but you mentioned the George, do you work out? And that right there is an intro of sorts to the questing system. You're in his office. George, do you work out? And he says, well, I used to, but I lost... What is it? I lost Arnold and Sylvester.
That's subtle.
Which is, I think, what their names were, and what they are dumbbells.
Okay.
And so you were given your first quest along with a cute little quest jingle sound effect, if you will. And at this point, you are free to go searching around. Once you find that dumbbell, you can bring it back to George to complete the quest, and he will give you a reward for it. And that is how most of the quests work. People will have bizarre requests, or they'll ask you to help them out. For example, the owner of the Milk Barn, which is your local country convenience / grocery store, the owner, Lily, will ask you to go into the back and help reorganize her stock, which is code for a box moving puzzle.
Oh, see, no, that lets me down. I thought that would be, air quotes, gonna come back and help me reorganize the stock.
Well, she's married, and she...
that makes it better.
Well, she manages the store with her husband, named Keith Ingram, and Keith is one of my favorite characters. Keith is the ultimate bro. He sits up there in his leather jacket, red bandana, and jeans, and he just rocks out the counter with his big rockabilly pompadour hairstyle. Oh man, whenever he talks to you, dudes, oh wow, FBI, love you, man, you're a bro.
Does he have the surfer voice?
Yes, that's exactly what his voice sounds like. It seems at odds with the rockabilly style, and he is a guitar player. He likes his guitar, and for him, the coolest part about his life was the fact that he married the older woman that he had a super crush on for many years.
When you say many years, let's just peel this apart. When you say many years, at what age did he gain this crush?
Possibly in teenhood. We don't really know. All we know is that he has a couple of children with them who are the creepy twins of the game.
Oh, because every game needs creepy twins.
Well, they have creepy twins. They have fair skin and light blonde hair and blue eyes, and their names are Isaac and Isaiah. And Keith will even comment how his boys kind of look girly, but that's okay. They look like their mom. I guess that was bound to happen.
Those twins are in the intro of it's like the sort of attract mode of the game. So whenever you boot up your Xbox or your PlayStation, and I'm quite surprised, Paddy, that you don't have this on PS3 or didn't get offered for review. But
it never happened. I never came through.
But they definitely are creepy. They're just standing there staring at a corpse tied to a tree.
And they just seem completely oblivious. They're just still smiling and in awe and wonder. And they actually explain why that is later on. But still, the twins never come across anything but creepy. Even though Lily and Keith are awesome, their kids are just weird. I'm sorry, you two. Lily, your kids are weird. Keith, yeah, your boys are weird. I know. Just deal with it. But but there are so many different NPCs and characters, and they're all weird and quirky in their own way. It almost makes it seem like York is meant to be the straight man to all of this bizarreness going on in town.
It's almost like, and this is gonna be my last sort of statement on it, on York anyway. It's almost like York and Zach are kind of meant to be like the two guys who are talking to each other about all this weirdness, and they're sort of like sly winks to say, "Can you really believe I'm stuck in this town? These people think they're so normal. They're really not. They're so weird. But and really, you're the guy who's standing there talking to himself, making these weird observations. In fact, let's just call the whole game one big exercise in weirdness. I haven't actually played any other game that's so weird tonally, apart from maybe Tingle or Katamari.
Tingle, not even once.
So I adore Katamari, and I've never played the Tingle, but now that the Tingle is going to be coming out over here in North America, maybe I will give it a shot. But Deadly Premonition's quirks start to make themselves apparent towards the end once you realize that there is a method to a lot of this madness. And when it starts to come together, it'll make you smile. And the whole game is so charming. The townspeople, they feel real. They have schedules. They operate on the 24-hour schedule. They'll go to work. They'll decide to go to other places. And the schedules change based on what part of the game you are. They'll start doing different things. Like, for example, the man who owns the Swery 65 bar named for the director and creator of the game. Mm-hmm. His name is Richard Dunn, and he sort of dresses like a cowboy. His son, Quint, also dresses like a cowboy. Richard is in love with the woman whose daughter was killed in the beginning of the game, and that woman is having a very tough time of it, and so he and Quint are helping her out. You'll see Quint drive to her house and maybe cook for her or pick her up. You see a sort of synergy between the townspeople that is just, it feels very warm and very endearing, and it only becomes more so as the game goes on.
Well, that sounds nice, because I don't like it when you get a whole town full of people, but they literally live in one place, and they don't leave, and you can always find them there, but...
they live very much spread out. Sometimes you'll have to track them down to find out where they are.
So that sounds fun.
Okay, so do we think this game will be on Steam in a couple of months?
I absolutely believe it will. It has a massive fan following. It is a huge cult hit.
I can't see it not getting through. If only, like you say, because of the massive fan following that like to talk about it, it's going to happen.
Before we finish, though, I think I do need to mention a couple of things about the game control and the combat sequences.
Okay, go ahead.
Fire.
All right. The play control, I believe when they release it on Steam, and I say when because I know for a fact they're going to release it because I am omnipotent.
You heard it here first, folks.
But enough about me. This game has terrible play control. I won't say, well, the 360 has Resident Evil 4 style tank controls. The shooting action is actually a bit better than it was on the PS3 and assuming the PC version. Controlling the cars, not very fun, but that can all be skipped over because very early in the game you get a quest where you go to George, the sheriff's house, and you can give him a flower for his mom, and he will give you a radio which you can use to teleport anywhere that you've already been.
Okay.
Yes,
That's
very
good.
A magical teleporting. It makes sense, yeah.
It's incredibly useful, especially considering that gas is sort of expensive, but there's a lot of ground to cover when you drive around. But so once you have that, you don't have to worry so much about car driving anymore. On the PS3 version, they did make the controls a bit more like Resident Evil 5, where you can actually sidestep and move all over the place, as opposed to just moving forward and having to turn like in RE4.
Okay.
Actually, I might be wrong about that. I haven't played Resident Evil 5 in quite a while, but
you can.
I think you can.
I don't think you can sidestep a bit in Resi 5. I played a lot of that. I don't think you can. Let's just say it's like Resi 5 with sidestepping. There we go.
It's more like Gears of War.
Yeah, okay, let's go with that.
That'll work. Gears of War. And that just becomes very apparent in the shooting sequences. And what happens is you'll go into an area and you don't really know if this is just York being crazy because mentally you can tell there's something off about him. And everybody else sort of hears him talking to what we assume is an imaginary friend. But you'll go into an area, some story will happen, and then, like for example, you go to the hospital, you perform an autopsy, and you walk out of the door, and then you notice there are these red vines all over the place, and creepy music, and the whole place has a sort of purplish tone. Well, now you have to fight your way out of that hospital, and you have to fight a lot of zombies.
Well, that's not fun.
No, it's not, and these zombies are kind of creepy, but you'll be used to them by then. And there are numerous dungeons throughout the game that you have to get through in order to complete what are essentially key areas, most of which are crime scenes.
So you say dungeons. You say dungeons.
Yes,
right?
we treat them like dungeons.
Okay, because when I think suburban town, I don't think dungeon. Like the only dungeon maybe would be like one of those creepy ones that people have in their basement, with like some chains and some whips tied up.
They turn into big dungeons with long corridors. A lot of the corridors will be blocked off, and you'll have to take certain paths. You'll occasionally have to find keys to get into doors.
Okay, so they're there for the gameplay stuff. Do they explain why there's these weird dungeons everywhere, or is that just because game?
Well, actually, supposedly the designer said that when they were making the game, they didn't want to have dungeons at all, but it was sort of a concession that they had to make. He just wanted it to be a detective story, and I think it might have been just fine without that, because although a lot of these quest items that you get for completing quests, a lot of the rewards that you can get are infinite weapons. Because your weapons, your basic pistol has infinite ammo, but other weapons can run out of ammo, but zombies are easy enough to take down, so it's not really that big of a deal. But the shooting is not that great. You do get more money for headshots.
Okay.
Which is important. It sort of adds a cute little gamification to these big creepy areas full of backward shambling zombies.
Style points, yeah.
Really. But the dungeons can be a little long-winded. The key is to just keep moving, and you can run through them. And on the PS3 version, there is no difficulty level. In the original version, there were an easy, normal, and hard mode. In the PS3 version, there is not. It's all just sort of easy.
Okay.
So you can really just run by things, and early on in the game, you can actually get your first infinite weapon, which is a wrench. Because your physical weapons do have durability, but this wrench is infinite, and you can walk around in dungeons and just smack everything with a wrench. Whack, whack, bang, bang, bang. Everything kills everything in one hit.
Almost like a Ratchet and Clank simulator.
Sort of.
Yeah, that's how I played the first game. Like just a wrench. I was a goddamn ninja.
Well, this is a regular size wrench. It's a small wrench. As long as you get close enough to smack something, it's bending backwards, trying to stick its arm down York's throat, and he's like, "Hey, check this out. I'm a mechanic." Whack.
Well, I mean that's quite realistic. I think if you've got a normal size wrench and you hit someone with it, they're going to go down.
They are going to go down.
Yeah, they're not going to go ow and then keep coming at you. They're just going to fall over. Like, I've never been hit by a wrench. I hope not to be hit by a wrench, but I'd imagine if I did get hit by a wrench, you'd go down in one. Like, yeah, it sounds realistic. And I suppose you get other infinite weapons like guns, that sort of thing as well.
Machine guns of all different kinds, pistol, magnum, a flamethrower, a rocket launcher, a weed whacker, a chainsaw, a guitar.
Weed whacker speaks to me there.
The guitar belongs to Keith. His wife gives it to you literally after you finish a quest. She's like, you know what?
Is that after you helped us stack the boxes?
I don't remember if that's what it was after, but she says, you know what? This is his prized possession, but I don't even want to get rid of it. Here you go. And it's the strongest weapon in the game. It is super slow, but can kill the strongest enemy in the game in one hit. And there's a follow-up quest where you actually choose to give the guitar back to Keith.
No.
Yes.
No, if I get a kill everything weapon, I'm keeping that thing.
Well, I keep it until the end of the game, and then I go give it back to him. You can actually give it back to him, I believe, in the epilogue chapter, but I gave it to him before then because he's my bro. Bros.
Boof, boof, boof. Okay, so yeah, I mean, final thoughts then, because we've been talking for a very long time.
This isn't 15 minutes.
This is way more than 15 minutes. We have gone over way.
Split it into two parts.
And you appear to have actually phoned in on a regular phone. Your audio quality is incredible. Sean, I mean.
No, I didn't in the end.
Caller. Yeah, I am now interested in buying that game because it does sound like my kind of thing. Like, it just sounds weird. and I can put up with quite a large amount of weird. And I think I wouldn't do like Shaun. I wouldn't fall asleep when I play it. I think I could.
Well, I fell asleep numerous times doing quest grinding, and not really grinding, just driving around town and getting things done, because there are a lot of quests, a lot.
He fell asleep while driving. Those sort of guys that you always see advertised, don't drive while you're tired. Don't do it. No, he does it.
But that driving song is so awesome, and there are multiple songs depending on what car you're driving, actually.
Dun, 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 dun. It is actually really good. The audio levels of some of the music is it's unusually higher than it should be. So
Okay.
it dominates the scene.
They did fix that somewhat for the PS3 release.
Oh, okay.
And there are differences between the two releases that makes it harder for me to recommend the PS3 release as the ultimate version of the game. Specifically, they get rid of the sickly green veil filter, as it's called, and they actually have a more realistic looking color in the town in the PS3 version. But the frame rate on the PS3, oh my God, why?
Is it Deadly Premonition the slideshow?
Sometimes it is.
Oh, that's a shame.
It's annoying at parts, but really it doesn't really affect the game that much if you're looking for the experience. And I guess my final thought on the game is that Deadly Premonition has more heart than I've seen in any game since Okami.
Well, there you go. That's a lot of heart.
I'm not an Okami fan anyway. But yeah, so I think the bottom line is you should care about this game coming on the Steam Greenlight. If you can find a copy for the Xbox 360, pick it up. If you can find a copy...
It's hard to find, but inexpensive as well. I think it's probably easier to find it on PS3, although I have not checked lately, because I have both and I don't care.
Of course you do.
Yep, and he may be the only guy who's going to triple dip on this, unless you're Dave Tack, who may have to review this game again. I think this will be the third time that guy's had to review it.
Polygon update.
Gotta love them review updates.
It'll go up to a 7.
Yeah.
It'll just be a bit weaker than The Last of Us.
7.5, please.
Oh, jeez. Not again. But let's not start that again. You've convinced me. You've convinced me. I may wait for the Steam version. I may get a PS3 version. I don't know, but I'm convinced. You've sold me. So well done.
I'm going to clap for myself, pat myself on the back.
There we go. Don't be careful. Don't overstretch.
I already did. Too late.
Oh, shame.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up now. That was another Breakfastnauts, a bit longer than normal. Paddy might just have to cut some of me out.
Longer Breakfastnauts for a longer game.
Yeah. So if you want to hear anything specific talked about in Breakfastnauts or pop on sometime in the future, let us know.
Yeah, any subject is well.
Absolutely.
Not any subject is okay.
No.
Most subjects are okay.
Yes, I agree.
We're not going to talk about Dark Souls. We're not going to talk about Demon Souls. We're not going to talk about Deadly Premonition for a while, because once it hits Greenlight, I'm pretty sure Minty will come back. So maybe next time we will let you guys decide based upon what poll we pick tomorrow.
Hurrah!
I guess this means Custer's Revenge. All right.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man.
Oh, jeez, no.
Custer's Revenge or Leisure Suit Larry?
Don't say it out loud, because then people will pick it.
Revelations.
2012.
Wait, one last thing, and I'm going to just hang up after this. Did you know there's a Revelations 2014 coming out? Bye!
And on that, we must finish now, because I can feel my skin peeling off. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, disgusting.
Enjoy that breakfast.
Ah!